Carol Dawn Klein, PO Box 8243, Moscow, Idaho. I hope that you can say no to this. I feel that this is a wrong thing to have these trucks coming through Moscow. 500,000 pounds, they're talking, no matter how many wheels you put underneath it, it's still 500,000 pounds. No matter how you distribute it, it's still 500,000 pounds. Exxon, the Valdez incident, they had to be court-ordered to take responsibility and pay for it. They still have not put a nickel towards what they were ordered to pay. If something happens here in Moscow, do we think we're going to get anything from them? On July 21st in Chicago, the trucking company Mammoth had a load fall off one of the trucks. The people in a 4 by 8 block area had no water for 2 days from it. They gave them bottled water. How many bottles of water does it take to fill your 12 to flush it just one time? How many bottles of water does it take to drink for a bath? They did give people credit cards, I hear, to get motels. But there's not enough rooms in this town for everybody here to have a motel room. So I hope you say no. I think it's the wrong thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Joshua Yidell.
I'm Joshua Yidell. My address is 1185 Cheney Road, Viola, Idaho. And I'm here to talk about a local sustainability issue. Nothing is more local to you than the air you breathe, the air you must have to live. At the same time, nothing is more globally connected than the atmosphere, which all of us must have to live. For we humans, the vital constituent of the atmosphere is oxygen, but oxygen doesn't just exist forever in the atmosphere. It must be replenished, made by plants, such as the plankton masses of the sea and the boreal forests of Canada, including northern Alberta. That forest is the great left lung of the earth, pumping out precious oxygen to feed us. But the tar sands project in Alberta is tearing a massive hole in that lung, wiping out huge tracts that produce life-giving oxygen, ripping into them with huge claws, then feeding the pieces to a giant carbon-belching industrial complex to be cooked and washed until a toxic flood spews from one end and at the other, a pipeline loaded with syncrude that might someday be gasoline. This violent, invasive theft of wealth, health, and dignity is a crime, the crime of rape, like the rape of Belgium in World War I or the rape of Nanking in World War II. The tar sands project, the rape of Alberta, is a crime happening right now. The megaloads are essential weapons in that crime. When the Moscow City Council welcomes the megaloads, Moscow becomes an accomplice. Turning a tract of land as large as all of Idaho west of Pocatello into a toxic wasteland and unbalancing the very atmosphere we breathe are the opposite of sustainability. No one has the right to thus attack the earth, our mother, and the air that sustains us for any purpose whatever. Please reject all complicity and stand against the megaloads and the tar sands. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, a couple of individuals here who put question marks, which I'll translate as a maybe. So I'll ask you, and if you decide if you want to testify yes. And the first one that has that on there is Nathan Lindstedt?
Yeah, not at this moment.
Not at this moment, okay. Sharon Cousins. Sit down, get up.
Don't sit down, Sharon.
Who really wants to testify because she signed twice.
I didn't know that piece of paper was in here. Okay. Yes, I can do this.
Okay, good. Remember, give us your address, name and address when you come to the podium, okay?
All right, the podium mic?
The podium mic.
All right, my name is Sharon Cousins. I'm actually a resident of Viola. My address is 1185 Cheney Road. And I do feel I have a kind of vested interest here because we depend upon Moscow for all our emergency services out there. So even though I don't vote in Moscow, I have a specific interest as well as a general interest. There is nothing sustainable about this ill-advised project to move these dangerous, oversized products of outsourced labor and their accompanying convoys through our state or any other on often narrow two-lane rural highways. There is nothing sustainable about a project that will result in millions of dollars worth of road damage and infrastructure damage, and upkeep to improvements like unnecessary new pull-offs that taxpayers will have to fund in perpetuity at a time state coffers are so low that people are suffering and dying for lack of medical care. About a quarter of our children are living in poverty, and we are in the process of horrible downgrades to our public school system. There is nothing sustainable about a project that will delay emergency services, resulting in loss of life and property. A few meals and hotel rooms will not make up for the losses in road damage and loss of property value that will ensue, let alone increased loss of life. And most of those jobs we heard about are going to people brought in from out of state or even out of the country. There's nothing sustainable about the petroleum industry in the first place. It takes without any way to give back, while supporting a wealthy, wasteful aristocracy who do not care how many people suffer and die so they can maintain their overblown and unsustainable lifestyles. The petroleum industry's history of refusing to pay for damages it causes adds insult to injury as far as sustainability goes. There is nothing sustainable about the tar sands operation, which uses unsustainable natural gas and deadly chemicals and pumps out pollution equal to approximately 3 times the amount that will be created when the eventual fuel is used, while turning 3 to 5 gallons of fresh water into a deadly substance for every gallon of fuel produced. There is nothing sustainable about the dying and deformed fish and wildlife and epidemics of rare cancers in human populations downstream, or about plans to destroy an area the size of the state of Florida in the great northern lung of our planet, part of the largest producer of oxygen in our hemisphere. The billions in
30 seconds.
What?
30 seconds.
30 seconds, okay. Nothing sustainable about Exxon either, I'll skip over that part. If sustainability is in fact important to Moscow and not just a fashionable buzzword, then Moscow and its citizens will do everything in their power to block these megaloads from traveling through our city, and we will go on from there to work to outlaw tar sands gas from being sold in our community, while we push for better alternatives that are more in keeping with a model of sustainability.
Time up.
Joanna Lunetta.
Joanna Lunetta, 203 South Howard. I want to thank the Commission for giving the public an opportunity to speak on this subject, and I'm very glad to see at least 2 of our City Council people here willing to listen to us. I think that we made a big mistake by welcoming this Megaload convoy to come through Moscow without getting complete information. We need to sustain our safety, our roads, our infrastructure, our pedestrian quality of life here in Moscow. Okay, this is not de novo. These loads have already gone through Route 12. Has anyone checked to see what it's done to the roads there? How many trees? I hear hundreds have been cut back. So we have a chance. It's not like this hasn't happened. It's happened. Let's look at it and see what results have already happened, and then we can extrapolate to what might happen to our community. How much were the delays? I understand that some of them were as much as 30 or 40 minutes of traffic going through. Is that what we want for our community in the summer when tourists are trying to come here and to other parts of Idaho? We don't have an answer to the question, will this open the door to other corporations wishing to do the same? Canadian Weyerhaeuser pulp mill in Canada are already looking at this plan to get loads through. And will it only be 66? There are 100 more loads that want to go, they want to send through Highway 12, and if they can't, will they cut them up and send them up here? I wasn't at the meeting that discussed the police and fire plans, but I'm wondering what possible plan they could have to get an ambulance from the east side of Washington to the hospital when the convoy is going through. And I hope no one or me is in an ambulance trying to do that, and where minutes count. I also have not heard any consequences for the fact that ExxonMobil was not truthful in saying that these loads could not be cut. That's how they got the permit to go through Highway 12. Well, now all of a sudden they can be cut, and nobody is saying, wait a minute, are these people telling the truth or not? People have already spoken about fallen property values, bright lights.
30 seconds.
Okay, one more thing. Again, we may gain a little money if somebody stays in a motel, but what's going to be the cost to the taxpayer of fixing our roads, of paying for all the state police and other people who are, and the ITD, who are putting themselves out for Mobil, Exxon, and in the long run, we're going to pay the cost of that. And Highway 95 may become an industrial corridor. Is that what we want for our community?